what do you got when you got a box in the back of your trailer from the country of Yemen and it says death to Americans on it? Stay tuned.
Bragger, this is the truck and tanker Yanker. I'm 10-8 with my 10 in the wind. My heaters are glowing, my manners are showing. Wind her up, let her go, come on. I'm your travel agent with a story to tell. Let's go for a ride.
Alright, it's a truck and tanker Yanker, and I right now am stuck at the border. I'm on the Canadian side, and my paperwork is not in order. I'm on a new load with a new run with a different product, different trailer, different everything, different people I have to deal with. And so when it comes to border paperwork, most people don't know what to do. And so that's where I'm stuck. It's because I'm reliant on all these people who don't know what to do. And while I know generally speaking what it is that I need to have, it's always a little bit different when you change from one company to another as to who's dealing with it, the brokers and that type of thing. Because I loaded in Canada this Amine, and that is A-M-I-N-E, and that is only the last, I'll tell you what this stuff is actually called, if I can pronounce it, methyl diethylamine. There you go. That's the stuff. And then I put short. But everybody's been calling it amine. But that's what I got on now. And so picked it up with a different company that I'd never been to before. They generated the paperwork and sent it to the broker. The broker only closed at 4 o'clock last night, so here I am first thing in the morning waiting for everybody to wake up and go to work and take care of their business. But fortunately, even though I'm stuck in just a parking lot north of the border, I got my coffee because I have a French press. It should be done in about 5 minutes, and I'll push this here lever down and start sucking down the elixir of life here. Not only do I got coffee, I got breakfast in the oven. Here's my oven. You can see a little red light on. And breakfast is in the oven, and I'm going to have a steak burrito. So, and that's a homemade steak burrito as soon as my alarm goes off, because I have it set for time. But while I'm sitting here, I just wanted to tell you a little funny story, because I was thinking about border crossings. I want to tell you a little funny story when I was hauling air freight. I used to haul air freight in between Portland, Seattle, and Vancouver, BC. And Richmond Airport, technically speaking, is what it was called, and or the 3-letter designation YVR. And that was what we always referred to it. And the first thing that always comes to my mind when I think of the Richmond Airport is YVR, because that's what we called it. It was just simple. But when we loaded at the airport, on an air freight dock, there would be 4 or 5 different airlines on, basically freight that came in from British Air, Lufthansa, Cathay, Scandinavian, Cargolux, all these different airlines, and it would be on my trailer, United, American-based ones, but they're all freight that's been on these airplanes. And so it's coming from all over the world and coming into the United States. And so we got to get our paperwork in order. Well, one of the first things you do is you go look down to see where all of the shipments are coming from. Because depending on the country that the shipment is coming from really depends on whether or not the Customs and Border Protection Agency is going to want to inspect that particular piece of freight, or try to determine if there's something smuggling or something like that going on, or something goofy going on. So what we did was always pick out those pieces of freight coming from countries that were questionable, and stick it on the back of the trailer. Because you got a 53-foot trailer, and you put it in the front of your trailer, and you get to the border, and they're like, we want to look at this little box. from Vietnam or something like that. We want to look at this little box. And you, oh, it's in the nose of my trailer. We'll have to unload the entire trailer in order to get to it. Well, that is not going to get you by without looking at the little box. That just means you get to park on the dock overnight until morning when they have a forklift available, and then unload you. And they will completely unload you, get to one little box, inspect it, and then reload you. And so it's always best just to stick those questionable little boxes on the back of the trailer. And in this particular situation, I had a 2-kilo box, which, and I tell you what, in the 70s when they were trying to push that metric stuff on us, and we never got it in school, we didn't never act like we learned it. I finally learned it when I was hauling air freight. At least I learned the kilos part. Is 2.2046 pounds per kilo. So 2.2 is about a 4-pound box, 4.5, 5-pound box of this stuff, and it was from the country of Yemen, and it was manifested as an aircraft part. So I went into with all my paperwork, presented it to and this is like the only time I've ever joked with a Customs Border Protection guy, all right? And he seemed like he had a pretty good sense of humor, but generally speaking, you just try to stay professional. But he's looking down my manifest, and he goes, like I saw his line stop at the Yemen aircraft part, and he looks over to his buddy, he goes, "We friends with Yemen?" His buddy goes, nah. And he goes, all right. He goes, why? And then he asks, you know, they always seem to like ask you a question you can never answer, all right? You know, it's like, I'm a truck driver and I'm hauling a whole load of freight. I don't know everybody that put it on here or what they put on there. So he says, now why? And this particular piece of freight was manifested as from Yemen, an aircraft part going to Seattle. Well, if you know, they make aircraft parts in Seattle. Why would they be shipping aircraft parts from Yemen to Seattle? So that makes us suspicious. Plus, Yemen's not our friends, or at least it wasn't at that time in the late 90s. I don't know if they are now. But, so anyway, he says, well, I want to see this. Or no, he asked me the question. So, why is aircraft part going from Yemen to Seattle? And, you know, it's always good to give him an answer if you can think of one. And I said, probably an Arab guy in Seattle needed a part for his MiG-25. They don't build MiG-25s in Seattle. And so he goes, yeah, I think I want to look at it. So anyway, I went out to the trailer, got my box. It was on the back because I knew they were going to want to look at it. And I brought it in. And this little box was, you know, just, I don't know, 16 inches by 16, you know, just as a small little box like that compared to a lot of big boxes I had in the back of my trailer. So I had this small little box, and it had red writing all over it, but the red writing was all in Arabic, and then it had a little stick picture of a man with his arms in the air like this. They're just a stick figure, arms in the air, feet like this, and all this Arabic writing all over it. Well, these two guys have been joking back and forth. The two customs guys have been joking back and forth, and I set the box on the table in front of him, and he looks at it and he picks it up and starts reading, trying to read the writing, and you know, it's all in Arabic. He couldn't read it, and he looks at it and he goes, "What in the world does?" He looks at me and he goes, "What in the world does this say?" And I go, "Probably death to Americans." Anyway, his buddy that was standing there working with somebody else said, "I'm gonna go take my break while you open that box." And he left, which is magic tape that says it was inspected by U.S. Customs. Anything damaged inside there, you can, if you had insurance on it, then you can collect your insurance. So he put the magic tape on, and away I went. But there you go. Hey, I want you to hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends about this channel. You know, I got truck driver stories, and I got guitar pictures, and maybe even more guitar stuff in the future. You can find out more about your truck and tank Yanker. Tell your friends about us, and I just want to make sure that you keep the shiny side up and the dirty side down. I think my coffee's done. just like a little radar thing went off in my head, and it said, "Coffee's done." Just a minute. Keep the shiny side up, and the sun is coming out. Keep the shiny side up and the dirty side down. Look on beyond the hood ornament, and don't be a bumper sticker. And make sure you drink your coffee black. It's got antioxidants in it for you. And I'm the Truck and Tanker Yanker, and I'm gone.